This is our, for those who may have come in or left, this is our first scheduled paper. Is it starting?
You can hear us okay?
Yes.
Echo.
Is this live? This is, yeah, okay. I was not expecting this, sorry. So this is our first and our second paper, which is, am I bringing the PowerPoint up? No? So I think we have here Annie. Can I get you to introduce yourself, sorry?
Yes, it's Annie and Lorraine at Wangka Maya. Bruce isn't with us today, but we've embedded his videos in the PowerPoint, so hopefully you'll be able to hear his introduction.
Excellent. And do we have a PowerPoint?
Yes, we are sharing our screen. You can't see it?
No, we can just see, oh yes, now we can. Thank you,
Yay.
excellent. So thank you. We have Annie and Lorraine with us here to present what is the Wangka Maya archive as an archive of Indigenous organisations. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to you now.
Thank you.
We would like to pay our respects to the Gariyaranyunga and Larrakia elders, past, present and emerging, whose country we research and work on. We also pay our respects to the Ngunnawal Nation who host this gathering. We are grateful to our colleagues at ASA for their ongoing commitment to First Nations self-determination in archiving. We are particularly grateful to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander colleagues in the archives whose efforts and dedication we deeply respect. Oh dear. We pay deep respect and gratitude to Pilbara elders for language and cultural legacy they passed on to future generations. This photo shows the current Wangka Maya building, which is purpose designed and built in 2010.
This is Bruce's introduction. Hopefully the video plays through to you guys.
Ngajini mangoja jagaram togo wande men nyamara wande men culture men togo wande men size togo wande that from the Doloram name mangoja Ngaju born Mapulbanga in 1952, 7. Not a boss by Jangle, but I'm not born. But I read up here. But one of the language, my grandfather, father, the Mangala Chevaling, you know, we're all from the Kimberley people. That's it. We are from East Pilbara, East Kimberley. We are from a family who come this way, my great grandfather. You know, I grew up in Nyangumadana, father Nyangumadana, we all mixed up, right? My mother went another tribe. We all been in that area, you know, family mate. That's why now. But I've been working. People Wangka Maya have done a lot of language work, teaching, school, work, translation, work with different language groups, and what they call actual state language. I've been working. After that, I work. It's a young language enough. I work from there, from start till today. Life work, I done another recording. Work with different language group. Work by SL map too, that map, mobile map, language map.
Turn into your introduction.
Ngajini.
Your introduction?
Yeah. My name is Lorraine Injie. My family are descendants of the Inawanga people, and you can see on the map that Inawanga traditional area is located in and around the Paraburdoo, the townships of Paraburdoo. I grew up on the coastal town of Onslow, and eventually I went to university in Perth, where I completed my education qualifications, then returned to the north and helped set up the Pilbara Aboriginal Language Centre. I'm currently the manager of Wangka Maya Pilbara Aboriginal Language Centre, and we've been operating as an organisation, Aboriginal community control organisation, for many, many years. I've worked at TAFE and other Aboriginal organisations in and around Port Hedland.
And I'm Annie. I'm a non-Aboriginal linguist. I grew up in Tasmania and moved to Western Australia in 2014 to work at Wangka Maya. We did a lot of language documentation and language resource production projects, and all of those were going into the archive, which was becoming harder and harder for me to understand. So I went to Curtin and did my graduate diploma in archives and records management, and last year started a PhD at Charles Darwin University investigating the Wangka Maya archive and how it's used to support language continuation. I started working back at Wangka Maya mid last year. Do you want to do this part?
Wangka Maya was established in 1988 and is a regional language centre for the Pilbara. The Pilbara region is over 500,000 square kilometres in area. Wangka Maya is an Aboriginal community controlled organisation and supports local language and cultural activities, which help to sustain Aboriginal self-determination, autonomy and sovereignty. Language centres receive funding from the Australian Government and other small grants. We have some partnerships with other Aboriginal organisations for independent funding. Language centres do not receive specific funding for their archives. The loss of the world's Indigenous languages is a global crisis, and in response to this, the United Nations has declared the decade from 2022 to 2032 the decade of Indigenous languages.
We'll just give you a quick overview of the language situation in the Pilbara. Hopefully you can see on this slide, 3 of the Pilbara languages are currently considered to be strong, so they're still being learnt as a first language by children. 5 are sleeping. They're no longer being used at the moment in the community, although I know at least one of those is undergoing some family-based revitalisation at the moment. And the remaining languages in the middle column are in a state of severe endangerment. They all have possibly 20 or less speakers. Many of them have 3 or 4 people left speaking them. And in those cases, the people are maybe 70 or 80 years or older. So language centre archives intersect on these different kinds of archives that are quite well recognised now: community archives, language archives and Aboriginal or Indigenous archives. The early policy documents that went into setting up Indigenous languages programs and language centres in Australia listed an archival role for language centres. to support them to accumulate their own material and as a local access place for material being returned to communities from other institutions. But language centres have never been financially supported specifically to maintain their collections. You want to talk a bit about that?
At the very early days of the establishment of Wangka Maya, there was very little documentation or recordings available on any of the 31 traditional languages that were spoken at that time. So in 1988, my first job here at the Language Centre was to set up a filing system for each and every one of those languages. At the end of that first year of operations, there were only 6 folders that had any information on any of the Pilbara languages. And some of the technology that we had available or had been using to do our work included a small Apple computer, the earliest models of the Apple computer, a Gestetner, a small photocopier, and some cassette recorders. In the early years following on from that, from 1990, we started setting up our databases on place names, animals and flora in Aboriginal languages. And then towards the late 1990s, we set up our first family history database through our Wangka Maya Link Up program, which was born as a result of the inquiry into the forced removal of children, which was handed down in 1997. Following on from that, in the early 2000s, we were then able to start producing dictionaries, word lists and grammars using the linguists toolbox archives. And since then, our equipment and technology has become more useful and more available for us to do some of our more recent work.
Did you want to mention the video?
Recently, we've received funding to set up the virtual reality Wangka Maya Language Learning Centre. That technology will enable us to work with some of the more endangered languages, and also to transfer some of the documentation that we hold in our archives and make that more available to members of our communities. We will also, as part of that process, have an international global audience.
These are some photos from within the Wangka Maya archive room, which we have in the inside of the building here. It holds most of the physical collection that's stored on site. The compactus contains documents, maps, posters, artwork, field notes, plant specimens, timber, stone and metal tools and artefacts, video and audio material on various forms of cassettes and discs. There are many, many external hard drives in cupboards and a server with 2 terabytes of born digital language material. We also have a community research library with about 1,000 books and other language resources in it. Most of the material in the archive room has been catalogued in a cloud-based relational database system. The business administration records are in Microsoft SharePoint. The information governance, consent, copyright, access and use documents that help us to manage the archive are stored in the business administration SharePoint. Wangka Maya underwent a significance assessment in 2012 and a preservation needs assessment in 2014. We are reviewing and implementing the recommendations from these reports alongside a mass digitisation project. Pilbara communities have a strong tradition of multilingualism. Information about items in the Wangka Maya archive can be in English or in Aboriginal languages. Here, Bruce shares some archiving work he has done, indexing and auditioning tapes he recorded in the bush. The information has been added to his tape collection catalogue with digitised versions of his tapes. The tapes need to be managed carefully as they contain both men's information and women's information. They are now stored at Wangka Maya.
Actual digital recording for a song, man song, ceremony, women dance, man go in bush, sing along. This one, another one, the woman gonna dance for the sun, put him so it's low. Which is typed now, archive. Write it down in old in a language. Actual digital recording.
Oh, it's a nice photo. About 20% of the Wangka Maya archive content is returned material that's been attributed to non-Aboriginal people. The large returned collections illustrate strong Aboriginal agency and commitment to language documentation from as early as the 1950s. Some even earlier legacy collections have provided evidence of continuous linguistic and song traditions over the past 130 years. We've been researching these collections so that attribution and rights to them can be negotiated with the appropriate authorities in our Pilbara communities. Bruce tells how Wangka Maya has always been a place for returned material to come home and be passed back to communities.
That's the promise, they got to bring it back. That's what their premise is. But they say you need a saving place to keep all the powder, all film running, and all the old powder and everything, You got to have a cool place. And Wangka Maya hidden that way. Powder, what been recorded, it all come back to here, Wangka Maya, at the plant. Been taken away and got to bring them back to family. Say bus gone up there. Yeah, they've all been taken from here. That's in the plant. That's in the promise.
Here, Bruce explains how cultural safety is enacted at Wangka Maya. He discusses cultural safety through the Nyangamata concept, Dugu. He stresses that the collective responsibility the local communities have for Wangka Maya makes it the most culturally safe place for material produced in the Pilbara. At Wangka Maya, archive access is governed through kinship and connection to country.
Somebody, you got to do an archive. Wangka Maya archive here. You got to collect everything. There's an archive. You want to collect from museum to back to community. Language that represents the community. Yeah, I made it myself. I will put it now. Yeah, I put some archive in my name, but most I put them all here. You got to put it here. Archive. In the safety, or you can put another place, archive. We told you that we look up. Togo Jinani. We look after it. Togo Jinani. We look after it. I'm not a recording either. I record it. But I can give it to somebody. I record here. So Wangka Maya Sam, I record it to me. I put it here. I put it there in Wangka Maya. I put it some there. I put some in Wangka Maya. Archive safety, we all work together and take the place up. Mob, one person over it, you can do one boss. We all boss, we all language, all got us. What a language got to say. They put it there, what should they say? They put it there with the mob. What should the language is mob? It's from the Western literature. They belong to the mob. So I told them, and put me, language, one man mob. We all get together and put it there for the people. Yeah, family, yeah. We find the storage or whatever. You got to go by the family tree. What is family tree, no? Family father, grandfather, important. Grandfather, we born, we die, he started to heal. Our grandfather, my grandfather, started to type. He's flood around, finish. That's our ancestor. You read me? That when the child put up a grave there, that when they get up, that song land there, the song, they've been around the world, song line, the song, and the grandfather done it. Other people been recorded in a monthly language, and we got a Mangala language, all kind of language. I recorded one another, recorded, same song, different language. Like one cloud, you know? That's, you know, one cloud covers a lot of language.
People are central to the Wangka Maya archive. Only the appropriate people can manage and share language and knowledge. Technology can aid in the process. We work closely with individuals, our board and senior cultural advisors, to manage access to archival material. Decision making is informed by the deposit terms of contributors. Local cultural protocols governing knowledge and information management and assessment of current community happenings. This enables Wangka Maya to respond directly to community activities that sustain language and culture, while protecting the rights and wishes of contributors. Wangka Maya has developed a rigorous Indigenous intellectual and cultural property framework to protect the legal copyright and cultural rights of all people who contribute material. We have designed these to accommodate cultural protocols and accurate attribution. There are provisions to recognise individual and collective rights through shared copyright and collective attribution of ISEP. Cultural material, including sensitive or restricted material, is identified by contributors and stored accordingly.
The Wangka Maya archive serves the functions of a cultural heritage archive. It is unique by holding the majority of material produced through its own work. As a community archive governed by kinship and cultural protocols, the Wangka Maya archive acts as a conduit that supports efforts to sustain language and cultural practices through acts of self-determination and sovereignty. Local concepts, such as Dugu, are emerging as ways for us to describe Aboriginal archival practice at Wangka Maya. Thank you so much. And thank you for your patience with our technology issues.
Thank you very much. Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can.
Did you hear the big round of applause that came from the room?
Thank you so much.
I want to really thank you for your patience, but also for sharing those stories with us, and the images is very impactful. So I'd like to open up to the room. I also just want to give everyone an update that there is another paper, and we may or may not get to hear it, depending on the technology. So there's some things going on in the background, and also we thank Daylight Savings Time for this. Any questions from the floor? Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. My name's Anne-Marie Hawaja. I'm a Kalkadoon woman from the Mount Isa region. I work at the Family History Unit at IATSIS, and we get quite a lot of family history requests from mob in the Pilbara, and we find it really difficult to, because a lot of the mob, you know, they don't have access to, you know, internet technology, all that kind of stuff. So in terms of trying to get permissions from family members to access records, would it, not that I want to hand over all the work, but I'm just thinking, like, would it be easier for them mob to go through Kimberley Stolen Gen, or is there, like with your, is there a way that we can get support on the ground just to complete these research? I'm not sure if it's something that you guys are familiar with, or I don't know whether we can work out some kind of partnership, or I don't know, I just thought I'd put it out there.
Amy, we're in discussions with the collections team at ASA, and maybe I'll suggest to them that you come on board to those discussions and we can further talk about it there, because I'm not sure about family history. I'm just looking after the language side of things more myself.
That community access to our archival material can be a very lengthy process, and quite often families do get frustrated with us, but the reality is that we have never received funding to assist us with that work. And while there are organisations like the Yorgum Link Up Centre and the Kimberley Link Up Services, we hold a lot of family history material in our archives, and access to those documents at the time of deposit, at the time that the contributors deposited them, stated clearly who and where we could allow the release of that information to. And quite often we have family members that have passed on. So getting access from surviving family members is often difficult, but it's an area that needs a lot of work and a lot of injection of funding to organisations such as language centres to help provide better community access.
Thank you. I do know we have some questions at the back, but I'll take one here and then we'll go to online as well.
Thank you, Lorraine and Annie. My name's Lisa. I work at ASA as well. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about the relational database that you mentioned, an archives management database, I wonder. And is it doing a sufficient job for you in prompting and holding the description about the cultural restrictions and so on?
That, from a custodial point of view, we feel that it is. We maintain the restrictions based on the wishes of the contributors. Sometimes over the past few years, we have faced some legal challenges, but we feel that our our policies and our procedures regarding access comply with both the mainstream legal copyright laws and our Indigenous cultural intellectual property right laws. I'm not too sure if I've answered the question.
I'll just add a quick little bit, Lisa. No, it's not an archive management system. It's a really old humanities research database that was recently upgraded onto a cloud-based platform. It used to be run through the University of Sydney. We had a local version sitting on a Linux-operated desktop computer in the archive room for about, well, as long as I've been here, probably 10 or 15 years before that. That was upgraded to this, to the same platform but cloud-based, which is sort of useful. Lorraine's explained the protocols around it, and it is sufficient for that. What it's not useful for is user access. The interface is really hard to manage, and we're looking at options to upgrade it as part of our digitisation project that we've got going on at the moment.
And the administration of it is SharePoint.
And part of the problem we're facing is that the administration, all of the paperwork regarding the collection is held in SharePoint, and it's not connected to items in the system or to items in the digital database, in the digital server. So the process, like Lorraine was saying, the process of identifying material and then having to go and check it with families it could be more efficient if those things were connected.
Lisa, or Ruth, have any questions online?
We don't have any questions online, just a comment from Kim Burrell, just to say thank you so much for your presentation, Annie and Lorraine and Bruce.
Okay. More questions from the floor? Yes. Okay.
Just a quick comment. Congratulations on you people doing what you're doing. It's really, really inspirational. Thank you. I'm Phyllis Williams with National Archives of Australia.
Anyone else? Lisa, oops, Lisa, maybe we can, or have we made the call? We've made the call. Yeah. Okay, so now we're finishing early. I'm sorry. But I want to thank Lorraine and Annie, and I also want to actually applaud the technology, because it's actually been a really amazing session.
Thank you.
I think it's what brings these hybrid conferences to the fore, that we can actually feel like we're in the same space as you, and have a bit of a sense of being there as well as hearing what you have to say. So thank you.